Hey Reddit, what was something you were terrified of as a kid, but you look back, and it wasn't scary? Black widow spiders. I somehow thought that these would be a huge problem in my life. Still pretty scary, just not as common a threat as I imagined as kid. Agreed. I'm still terrified of spiders, but fortunately they're not a big issue. OUI. I'm 34 and I just found one for the first time last week. Are you dead? Doesn't appear that way. HMM. My knowledge of black widows has been proven incorrect. You sure you're not dead? I mean, I didn't touch it. I murdered it with a shovel, and then actual fire. I think I narrowly avoided certain death. Yeah, when I would rake leaves I thought, if I fell into the pile it'd immediately be covered in spiders. Flushing the toilet terrified me as a child. It's so loud. Especially the ones that are at stores and stuff that are extremely loud. This scared me too. I'm a 90s kid and my uncle told me to watch out for the tidy ball man. Didn't know who he was, but I was afraid for a while. The airplane toilets are the worst. I used to be terrified of those really loud air hand drying things in bathrooms. My son is also terrified of flushing toilets. How long did it take to get over it? Anything in particular help get over it? Toy Story 3. My dad took me and my twin sister to see it when we were 6. That scene where Woody and Buzz are about to die in the incinerator. Well, I happened to be vocalizing my distaste for it. My dad says that I was screaming the whole movie yelling, "Why did you take me here? And how dare you scare me?" My dad brings this up monthly and it's been 10 years. It's been 10 years since Toy Story 3. Wow, I was pretty sure it was like 3 to 5 years. This comment killed me twice. Well, that scene was pretty traumatic, and I was 30 when it came out. Where's that video of the brothers who edited Toy Story 3 for their mom, so that it just ends with the toys going straight into the incinerator? The Unsolved Mysteries theme music. Hearing that theme, plus Robert Stack's voice talking about ghosts and missing kids led to many sleepless nights. Adult me binge watches that show on Amazon Prime. Yes and yes. Robert Stack was truly a captivating person, AMD amazing actor. Also the America's Most Wanted theme with John Walsh was frightening to me. Hated watching that show with the blinds open. I used to come home and binge late at night in 11th grade before YouTube took down a bunch of old episodes. Need to catch up on Netflix, but last I checked only season 1 was available. Thunderstorms. Now I'm a meteorologist. I was petrified of them as a kid. Now I live in Florida and look forward to them every year because they are just so amazing to witness. I used to be scared of looking up at the sky. I don't know why, but in thinking of becoming an astronomer. The original illustrations from the scary stories to tell in the dark books. As a kid they scared me. As an adult they disgust me. Some of them are really nasty looking. I was so captivated by the illustrations. They were pretty unsettling, but loved it. I hope the movie does it justice. The movie? Our family PC, I think I was terrified of breaking it. In hindsight they were pretty indestructible and none of us knew enough about computers to really know what we were doing with it anyway. PCs back then were heavy and built like tanks. The good old days. Getting run over by a steamroller, quicksand, falling from my back porch, falling into Lake Michigan on my bike. I would have nightmares about all of these things and they were all never likely to happen. Sounds like you watched a lot of Roadrunner. Cops. Criminals too. Not so much. I grew up in an area that was extremely low crime. Criminals mostly existed on TV and in movies. TV made me fear them more. Think I was seeing rapists and child molesters walking up and down my street on the regular? No. But did Criminal Minds, L&OSVU and Stranger Danger make me think they were? Yes. Escalators. Death by Shoelace Waters. How I wouldn't like to go out, Alex. My sister had a clown doll on a swing by her window. We slept with the doors open at night, and if it was hot summer, the windows open too. You don't know how many times I wanted a glass of water, but wouldn't go down the hall, because that clown doll would be swinging back and forth staring into my soul. But now I know it's just a stuffed doll. I could probably take it, and all is alright, right? Wish I knew what happened to it. Just sort of disappeared during my childhood sometime, never to be seen again. Just a real loose end I'll probably have nightmares about tonight. Thanks Reddit for drumming up my past. When Sixth Sense came out it scared me so bad I was literally traumatized for years. Couldn't walk next to a bed without checking first. A couple years ago I saw it on Netflix, decided to face my fears and watch it again, and it wasn't that scary. I'd call it mildly to moderately creepy. Quicksand. Not nearly as prevalent as cartoons led me to believe. Bawled my eyes out at the thought of growing up and turning 25. I was 6, so my mom was already older than that. My mom tried her best to comfort me, but I literally was standing in the middle of the kitchen with tears streaming down my face. Got my older sister in trouble, though, so, bonus. When I turned 30 my 5-year-old started crying, because I was so close to 100, and she was worried about me dying. I still struggle with this fear. I never imagined that I would be 25, never envisioned that I would be old. The day before my 10th birthday I cried, because I was turning double digits. Little did past me know birthdays only get more alarming as you go. I was scared of traffic lights, because when I was younger, my parents led me to believe that there was a little man inside. He switched the lights from green to red and yellow. I always hid from traffic lights, until I realized how they actually worked. My mother with a shoe. I'm still afraid of that. I think we all are. I just haven't seen it in a while, so I DK if I'm or not. Gloves, especially those rubbery gloves used in hospitals. I used to refuse to talk to anyone who wore those for an entire day when I was a kid. The scary characters encourage the cowardly dog. Return the slab, or suffer my wrath. The green pants with nobody inside them. Alice in Wonderland, it was like a horror for me then. The pig baby, shudder. Hyrule Castle Town, when you become an adult. That piano in Big Boo's Haunt. The Lethal Lava Land picture also. For some reason they just terrified me. And the one I just got over, by which I mean, I got over it a while back, but only just actually did something about it, is the game over cutscene from Banjo-Kazooie. Terrified me as a kid, didn't play the game for probably over a decade. Started it properly a couple weeks back. It's great fun, if a little frustrating. Costumed characters. I used to hide from them at parades. Love them as an adult. Leaving home to live somewhere else on your own. It can get a bit lonely at times, but it's not that bad. I used to be afraid of the power going out when I was in the shower. It would be like closing your eyes in the shower and not being able to open them. Now I'm like, what ifs? The tub drain, or any drain in general. It was a deep dark hole that just led into nothingness. I was afraid of falling into it. I thought people were going to be offering me free drugs at every corner. Mountains, yes, I was afraid of mountains as a child. They can be kinda spooky. Coraline. That movie messed me up so much I ended up having nightmares from it. Now that I watched the movie again a few years later, I actually found it to be good and interesting. Gremlins, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger etc. My dad's tractor, because front headlights and grille looked like a face to me. I had a nightmare that the tractor was crying and begging me to help him when my dad was working on it because he said it hurt. Everything. I was terrified by anything even hinting at spooky, and I mean anything. I had a lot of anxiety and Halloween was a traumatic time of year. Now I love scary movies and spooky houses and ghost stories. Bridges, they won't collapse, they are built to standards, but I didn't know that. Human skeletons. I always hated the skull and its endless smile. We watched a documentary about mummies in 5th grade and I almost cried and just stared at my hands for an hour. I flinched when I saw pictures. 2 years ago, I started studying biology, and, at one point, I held a real human skull in my hands and examined it. That was the moment I knew that my fear was gone. Still afraid of jellyfishes though. I found buying something and talking to the cashier quite scary. Luckily everything is automated now, so I don't have to deal with it. Apparently I threw up when I saw Harry Potter when I was 3. Call of Duty Zombies. We got Black Ops 1 and my dad started playing zombies, and it terrified me for a while. I still like playing zombies to this day. Statues, especially at night with creepy moonlight or spotlights on them. Turning off a light on the top floor of my house. I would always run as fast as I could down the stairs away from the dark demons. Zombies and ghosts. Apparently they don't exist. People in animal mascot costumes. I loved going to Chuck E. Cheese's as a kid, but I would always be terrified of the mascot when he was there. To be fair though, furries are pretty scary. The movie Let's Scare Jessica to Death gave me nightmares for years. Rewatching it decades later, still creepy spooky, but certainly not the fright-filled horror that haunted my childhood. Sometimes I could not sleep BC. I would picture the woman slowly emerging from the water, undead. Here's a scene now. I'm like zombies and vampires. Cool.